Harm OCD was one of the most difficult themes I ever had to deal with. It caused intense shame, intense guilt, and created the worst anxiety I think I've ever had. When people have harm-related thoughts, they have a really hard time separating themselves from the thoughts. They automatically assume that just because they had a harm-related thought, that they're going to cause harm to someone. And honestly, that is furthest from the truth. However, if you are having harm-related thoughts, it is incredibly important that you go and see a mental health professional to make sure that the thoughts aren't related to any other mental health conditions. And listen, you are not alone with your harm-related thoughts. I remember a study coming out, years ago, talking about how 80 to 90% of the people they asked or they polled had reported having harm-related thoughts. Here's the difference between everyone else and us with OCD. Two people are standing and waiting for a train. One of them has OCD and one of them doesn't. They both have the same thought to push each other onto the train track and watch them get ran over. The person without OCD will go, "Oh, that's a weird thought. Whatever," and they'll move on. The person with OCD will go, "Oh, that was a weird thought. What does that thought mean about me? Does that mean I'm a dangerous person? Does that mean I'm actually going to do it?" And then they have a rush of intense emotions, anxiety, fear, guilt, shame, whatever it is, and now they're hooked into the cycle. Now they're going home and they're not watching any videos related to harm or trains. They're hiding all the knives in their house because they're terrified that they're a dangerous person. They're not holding their kids anymore because they're scared they're going to drop them or hurt them. This is where OCD becomes one of the most debilitating conditions ever. Now, it's incredibly important that you do exposures and response prevention for this theme and any theme. However, you will see a reduction in your symptoms once you start doing exposures for this. You can watch videos related to harm, watch news stories about serial killers and mass shooters. You can walk around the house with a knife. You can write fake stories about you harming other people. Anything that triggers the emotional response to the thought or the idea of you being a harmful